Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, please allow me to give our hearty welcome to all of you present. And thank you very much for your friendly coming. It is our great honor for us to have all you to attend this webinar, of which the theme is Interpretation of Administrative Measure on Health Food Registration and Filing. Here, I'd be delighted to introduce myself in brief. My name is Cassie Yu as the speaker, and now is responsible for the food safety and regulatory affairs in CIIS. This webinar is supposed to last 1 hour. And all right, it will be separated into 8 parts. We are going to follow this contact. Before we have a look at the introduction of administrative measure on health food registration and filing, I'd like to introduce the health food in China and overview the China health food regulations. After that, according to the administrative measure, we will introduce the health food raw material directory, the process of health food registration and filing, and the document and testing scope of health food registration and filing. At the end of the webinar, we will make a summary of the difference between health food registration and filing. To begin with, I'd like to inform you that if you have any question, please leave your messages in the chat or QA. Then I will reply everybody's question via email in the following days. So let's begin. First, we will go through at the introduction of health food in China. So, what is healthy food in China? Healthy food has specific health function, or it may supply vitamins and minerals. Healthy food is suitable for specific groups of people. Healthy food also regulates body's function, but cannot treat disease. Please note that healthy food cannot prevent or treat disease. Healthy food also has no acute, subacute, or chronic health effect to human body. In addition, healthy food is also very different from general foods or medicines. Sometimes it is very difficult for us to check if one product is a healthy food or general food or drug. So how do we judge the difference of health food from general food or drug? First, compared with drug, healthy food cannot prevent or treat disease. Healthy food is non-toxic. Healthy food is only for oral use. In addition, healthy food only can use food or healthy food raw materials. It means that healthy food cannot use poisonous or harmful substances. Compared with the general food, healthy food has a health function claim. Healthy food also can use healthy food raw material. Healthy food are also suitable for specific groups of people. As we know, for general food, usually we cannot claim any health function in the package or in the label, and we can only use the general food raw material. And general food always is suitable for everybody. In order to clarify the healthy food more clearly in the following parts, I'd like to introduce the names of health food in different countries. In Europe, health food is called food supplement. In United States, it is called a dietary supplement. In Canada, it is called a natural health product. And in Australia, it is called complementary medicines. In South Korea, it is called health functional food. And in Japan, it is called food with health claims. So after we introduce using the health food in China, I'd like to explain the China health food regulations. As we know, the most important law regarding the food is the Food Safety Law of the People's Republic of China. The 2015 version is the latest version, which was released by the Chinese chairman, Mr. Xi. It was come into force on October 1st, 2015. According to the Food Safety Law, the CFDA released the administrative measure on health food registration and filing. It is the biggest and most important regulation regarding the health food. In order to better carry out the health food registration and filing, the CFDA also needed to set up a lot of supporting regulations. The Administrative Measure on Health Food Function Directory and the Food Raw Material Directory, the Administrative Measure on the Labeling of Healthy Food, the name list of excipients available for healthy food filling, Healthy Food Raw Material Directory, detailed rules on health food registration technical evaluation, and the requirements for health food registration dossiers. And CFDA also will update the regulations. As we know, please pay attention to the excipient list. We heard that the CFDA won't release the former excipient list, as there are a lot of voices about this list. Some people think the excipient list is too limited for healthy food filing. And as we know, according to the Administrative Measure on Healthy Food Registration and Filing, the excipient list is not mentioned. So we also think maybe the excipient list won't release in the future. Please note that. In accordance with Food Safety Law of the People's Republic of China, companies who plan to place health food in Chinese market should apply and obtain the health food registration certificate or filing certificate. For domestic health food produced in China, the registration should be conducted with the CFDA, whereas the filing should be carried out with the province Food and Drug Administration. For imported healthy food produced in overseas factories, both the registration and filing should be applied with the FDA. Please note that overseas companies should have a permanent Chinese representative office or appoint a Chinese agent to deal with registration or filing affairs and obtain such certificates. All right, let's introduce the Administrative Measure on Health Food Registration and Filing. In order to explain the following parts more clearly and help us to understand the regulations more smoothly, I'd like to introduce the healthy food in China. There are two categories of healthy food in China. One is called the nutrition supplement, and the other one we could call it functional health food. The nutrition supplements refers to the food that provides the vitamins and minerals, but without providing energy or other active ingredients. The functional health food refers to the food that, labeled with the health function claim, has physiological effects on the human body. So I think most people know that there is a new policy for the healthy food registration and filing. The biggest change in the new administrative measure is the new policy filing. It means that if you meet the filing requirements, you could do the filing, and it is not necessary to do the registration anymore. So what health food could do the filing? For imported health food, first, it should be a nutrition supplement. Just like we mentioned before, the nutrition supplement could only supply vitamins and minerals, but cannot provide energy or other active ingredients. Second, it should meet the requirements in the health food raw materials directory. So if you meet the above two requirements, then you could do the filing for imported health food. Okay, for domestic healthy food, as long as it meets the requirements in the health food raw materials directory, then it could do the filing. We think the applicant's qualification also should be noticed for manufacturers. For imported health food, both the registration and filing applicant should be the overseas manufacturer of the marketed health food. Overseas manufacturer refers to the legal person or other organization. For domestic health food, the registration applicant should be the registered legal person or other organization. However, the filing applicant should be the factory that has the production qualification. Please note that it is very important. So let's back to the health food raw material directory. On February 17, 2016, the health food raw material directory's first batch, we also call it nutrition supplement raw material, vitamins and minerals directory, was released, but it is a draft. On June 2, 2016, the CFDA revised the healthy food raw material directory and also released it, but it is still the draft. Now the revised version contains 22 seconds times of vitamins and minerals, and it also contains 16 H compounds. Let's take the mineral magnesium as an example. There are 4 sources of magnesium. Respectively are magnesium carbonate, magnesium phosphate, magnesium chloride, magnesium oxide. In the health food raw material directory, the minimal daily intake and maximal daily intake is also stipulated. For adults, the minimal daily intake is 16.5, and the maximal daily intake is 315. You need to meet the requirements in the directory, then you could do the filing. Yes, if the vitamin and mineral nutrition supplements are not complying with the requirements of a health food raw material directory, then the product cannot be filed or should get rejected. In the following cases, vitamin and mineral nutrition supplements are considered as not complying with the requirements of Healthy Food Raw Material Directory. The daily intake of vitamins and minerals is not in compliance with that listed in the Health Food Raw Material Directory. The components of the vitamins or minerals that are not listed in the Health Food Raw Material Directory. The supplemented vitamins and minerals are not listed in the Health Food Raw Material Directory, and vitamins and minerals that are extracted from edible part of the food. For the above cases, your product need to get registered on the CFDA. You could not sell your product because it is not meeting the requirements in the Health Food Raw Material Directory. When we're using the raw materials, we also need to pay attention to the key points. The first, both the content of the nutrition supplements claimed on the label for filing and the scope of nutrition content listed in the technical requirements should not exceed the limited amount for target users. The second, if the component is not in the list, but the health food manufacturer still hopes to put the components into the filing healthy food, the manufacturer should, in accordance with the relevant requirements of administrative measure on health food function directory and food raw material directory, apply for the approval to list the component in the health food raw materials directory. And please note that another choice for such cases, if the component is not listed in the list, the health food manufacturer could do the registration. You could choose to do the registration, yes. For the third, for the dosage form of the nutrition supplement for filing, it should not be sustained release precipitation, controlled release precipitation, and others. As a result, it is recommended that enterprises should not apply for filing for the above mentioned dosage forms. Now, as we know, the latest Healthy Food Raw Material Directory is the revised Healthy Food Raw Material Directory, the first batch, Nutrition Supplement Raw Materials Directory. We need to note that the draft only could be a reference, as it is still draft now. In the near future, subsequent Healthy Food Raw Material Directory will be released. We think the first one is the formal Healthy Food Raw Material Directory, the first batch, the Nutrition Supplement Raw Material Directory, and the second one may be the Healthy Food Raw Material Directory, the second batch, the Functional Healthy Food Raw Materials Directory. But it is only useful for the domestic health food. The third one may be the third batch, and the first one may be the fourth batch. Okay, let's move to the registration process. The first step is the feasibility analysis. As you need to note that before we composing the dossier and testing the samples, we need to conduct a feasibility analysis, including the formula analysis. If our product is not complying with the Chinese regulations of health food registration, we are not suggest you to process with the dossier compose and sample tests. If you do it, it is a waste of time and money. So the first step is feasibility analysis, which is very important. Then after the analysis, we can move to the dossier compose and the sample test. Then after we getting the test reports, we could prepare and submit dossiers to the CFDA. After we submit submissions dossiers, the CFDA will arrange a meeting to conduct the technical evaluation within 60 workdays. Sometimes CFDA may think additional documents need to be supplied, and sometimes they think the on-site verification is also necessary, and the retest may be also necessary. And we also need to do these 3 steps. After CFDA evaluating the dossiers, they will approve our registration product and send us the registration certificate. Compared with the registration process, the filing process is much easier. But the first step is also the feasibility analysis, which is very important. Then we could compose the dossier and test the samples. After we get the testing reports, we could prepare and submit the dossiers to CFDA. What is the difference is that the CFDA won't evaluate the dossiers and won't arrange the retest or on-site verification. So it is very different compared with the registration process. After the CFDA reviews the dossiers, they will give us the approval and issue the certificate. According to the regulation, CFDA will issue the certificate in 1 workday after we prepare and submit the dossiers. But we think it may be impossible because the CFDA also need to review the dossiers. It is very difficult for them to complete the reviewing in 1 workday. So, according to CFDA suggestions, it may take them 1 to 2 months to completing the dossier review. Then they will issue the certificate. Okay, after we introducing the process of the health food registration and filing, let's move on to the document requirements of registration. For registration, we need to submit health food registration applicant form, copies of legally registered certificates of the applicant, product development report, including the product technical requirements, the product formulation materials, the product production process materials, the safety and function assess materials, including the test reports of functional components, characteristic ingredients, stability, hygienic health, and other tests if necessary. The information of packaging materials in direct contact with the product. The samples of product label and packaging insert. 3 samples with the minimal sales packaging. Other materials supporting to the product registration technical evaluation, which is also very useful when the CFDA reviewing the dossiers. Compared to the document requirements of registration. The filing requirements is as following. You need to submit health food filing applicant form, copies of legally registered certificate of the applicant, product formulation materials, product production process materials, information of packaging materials in direct contact with the product, samples of product label and packaging insert, product technical requirements. Testing according to product technical requirements usually includes hygienical and functional components tests. Other materials proving product safety and health function. I think you may find that the product research and development documents and materials is not necessary for filing product, and the product safety and function assessment report is also not mandatory. So for filing, it will be much easier when we prepare the dossier. For imported health food, the additional document requirements is as follows. We also need to provide the qualification certifying documents issued by governmental authorities or legal service agents in the producing country, proving that the registration applicant is the overseas manufacturer of the health food marketed. In different countries, maybe the authorities is different. The certifying documents issued by government authorities or legal service agents in the producing country of origin, proving that the product has been marketed more than a year, or safety report of overseas sales and consumers' feedback. As we know, the CFDA likes the certified document that proving the product has been marketed more than 1 year. And the Health Food Associated standards issued by the product producing country of the origin or international organizations is also needed to provided. And the packaging labels, packaging inserts for product marketed in the producing country of origin is also needed. It means the original packaging label, packaging insert. For registration affairs run by overseas manufacturers' permanent representative in China, a copy of the registration certificate of overseas enterprises permanent Chinese representative offices should be provided. For registration affairs run by domestic agents entrusted by overseas manufacturers, the applicant should provide the original notarized certificate of entrustment and copies of business license of the agents entrusted. Registration dossier requirements for product containing extracts. It means that if your product contains extracts, you need to provide such additional dossier. The manufacturing technical of extract should be submitted. The technical requirements of the extract should be submitted. The total items self-test report of extract according to the technical requirements should be submitted. After we introducing the requirement of dossiers for health food registration and filing, let's move on to the testing scope of registration. For registration, we need to carry out the functional components test, hygienic test, and stability test, the toxicology test, the animal function test, the human function test, and other tests if necessary. I'd like to introduce the functional components test and hygienic test and stability test first. In order to make the test result more reliable, the functional components test, hygienic test, and stability test should be carried out for 3 batches of samples. So, what is the stability test? If the shelf time of the product is 2 years, accelerated test will be used. Then the laboratory will test functional components and hygienic items for 4 times. The first one is before stability test, the second one after 1 month, the third one after 2 months, and the last one after 3 months. It means that when we do the stability test, the functional components and hygienic items will be tested 4 times. Second, I'd like to explain the function test. For different health functions, the functional test is different. For example, for the health function enhancing immune, it only needs to conduct the animal test. It means that human test is not required. For the moment, in China, there are 28 health functions. You could only choose 1 or 2 health functions in these 28 health functions. Third, I'd like to introduce the other tests if necessary. If the health function is elevating physical fatigue, weight control, or improving child growth, then the stimulants and illegal drugs test is necessary to conduct, and the test report is also needed to provide to the FDA. If we add probiotics, then the strain identification and virus test is also necessary. If we add some special ingredients, then we need to conduct a strain identification test. Compared to the testing scope of registration, the filing is much more easier. We only need to do the functional components test and the hygienic test. Maybe the stability test is also necessary, but for the moment, we are not sure if it is needed. We also wait for the final decision from the CFDA. I think most people have known that all the tests should be conducted in the authorized laboratories. For the moment, there are 58 laboratories authorized by CFDA. If you would like to check the laboratories, you could click the 5 links. And please note that the authorized laboratories are all in China, and most of them are government laboratories. At the end of this webinar, we'd like to make a summary of the difference between health food registration and failing. I think this one is very important, and most people is paying attention to this. To compare with the registration and failing, for dossier, the research and development report and the safety and function assessment materials should be submitted for registration, but not required for failing. Regarding the test, the toxicology test and function test are needed for registration, but are not necessary for failing. For cost, the cost of registration is much more expensive than the failing price. And the duration, usually it will take about 2 to 3 years to register healthy food, but for failing, it may only take 3 to 6 months. And the format of the registration number and the failing number is also very different. Let's take the imported registered healthy food for example. If you get the approval and certificate of the first imported healthy food in 2007, then the registration number will be 国食建筑 J 2017 0001. Yes, actually the difference between registration and failing is very, very different. If you would like to find more difference between the registration and failing, please kindly click here. Later I will send you the presentation to all of you. Okay, I think this webinar should be ended. Thank you again for coming to this webinar. We will send you the presentation to all of you present later by email. In addition, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us via the emails. My email is cassieyu@cishoffingroup.com. Thank you very much for coming.